The small town of White Bluff, Tennessee, has a population of under 4,000 people. On beautiful days, it's not unusual to hear visitors say the town's warmth and charm is reminiscent of a simpler time. And they're right. The town has an old soul. But at night, when the visitors leave and things get quiet, there's a legend about a terrible creature that's been haunting the town for 100 years. The White Screamer.
Hey Super Horror fam, in case you didn't know, murders, monsters, and malicious spirits are only where the fun starts on Super Horror Show. If you haven't been watching Lunch Break, then you've been missing out on very important videos. Without Lunch Break, how will you find out about important topics like when to punch someone in the face? Can you tell if someone's a sex offender just by looking at them? Or about selling your soul to the devil? Don't miss out on this very educational content. Watch Lunch Break with Papa Bones. One of the first things something evil will do when trying to get to you is isolate you. Maybe that's why some of the creepiest stories come from small towns. The fewer people it would need to overwhelm, the better. So sit tight and pull your covers up while I tell you about a monster that's been haunting the same small town for 100 years.
According to legend, a family moved to the natural hollow in the woods of White Bluff. It was beautiful and peaceful, so they built themselves a home and started to work the land. From day one, things on the farm were strange. It's difficult to describe. Nothing outright terrible happened, but things didn't go the way you'd expect them to. It was like everything was resisting the farmer and his family. But, at the end of the day, it was their home. They reasoned they would figure it all out soon enough. Maybe the plants would need more or less water in this area. Maybe the animals here just acted a little different. It was nothing the farmer couldn't figure out. They were convinced they would get it right. That is, until one night. That one night, the screaming started. They'd been in the bluff for a while now. The summer solstice passed. The days were getting shorter. The family sat down in their humble little home, ready to eat. The farmer lowered his head as he always did, and prepared to say grace. But before he could, a terrifying scream filled the air. Things immediately descended into chaos. His daughter started crying. The farmer checked outside his cabin, but didn't see the source of the screaming. By morning, the screaming stopped. The farmer and his wife told their daughters some animal was probably being killed and was in pain. But that night, it happened again. It didn't stop. Night after night, it was always the same. The sun would go down, and the screaming would start. One night, the farmer couldn't take it anymore. He grabbed his gun and took off into the night, looking for the source of the screaming. The screaming sounded like it was coming from everywhere. He couldn't tell if it was one scream being echoed through the hollow, or if it was multiple screams coming from different directions. He started following the scream that was the loudest. It led him to a bush. The farmer readied his gun and approached the bush. But when he got there was nothing. And all at once, the screaming stopped. The farmer was terrified. He held his breath so he could listen closely. Suddenly, the sounds of screams filled the air. But this time, it wasn't the horrible scream that he'd been hearing every night. It was something far worse. He heard his wife and daughters screaming out in pain. He raced back to his house. When he got back to his property, the screaming had stopped. By the time he reached his house, it was already too late. His wife and daughters were cut up. Pieces of them were everywhere. To this day, residents of White Bluff say the White Screamer can be heard, screaming around the hollow, haunting White Bluff.
What the devil? Nice town, my butt! Sounds great! Welcome to White Bluff. You gotta try one of Sharon's cherry pies on Main Street. It'll make you slap your mama. Oh, by the way, there's one teeny tiny little thing you maybe should know about. Sometimes this homicidal creature starts screaming at night, and well, one time it tore an entire family to bits. But that was a long time ago, so no need to worry about it. And, yeah, you go on down to Main Street and have yourself a big old piece of pie. Crazy. But you know what isn't crazy? This week's top commenter. This week's top commenter is Mark Asquith, and his comment reads, "Small following, but amazing content. This channel is sure to get a sizable following. Please keep the stories coming." Thanks, Mark. I read this one extra loud so YouTube would hear it. And don't worry, I'll definitely continue putting out the best scary stories I can find. Thanks for the comment, Mark. Every comment helps tell YouTube that my videos aren't trash, so I appreciate every one. I might need to find someone to do some PR for me. Maybe that would work. I wonder who does PR for the White Screamer. They must be amazing. Who hears that story and thinks, the screaming, that's the most valuable part of this story. Personally, I would have went with Whites cut you up into tiny little pieces when no one is looking. That way all that important information is up front. Well, until next week, don't fall to pieces.